We're live on a Sunday. It's the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse, and boy, oh boy, was that a disaster. And I'm not talking so much about the 49ers versus the Denver Broncos. Look, folks, these are practice games. They're glorified scrimmages and all that. So I don't really pay attention to that. I tried to pay attention, did I, to the broadcasts on television and on radio. And there was a lot of intrigue here, of course, because 49ers main play-by-play guy was Greg Papa, and he, of course, will miss the preseason at least due to his medical condition, which he disclosed publicly about a week ago, and that he is fighting cancer and that he'll be away. And we wish him a speedy recovery. Of course we do. So after some hemming and hawing, 49ers went out and hired Guy Haberman. I've barely heard of this guy, no pun intended. Haven't heard a lot. I heard from various people that he's kind of boring, he's mediocre at best. And boy, that was accurate. So what they did, the televised broadcast comprised of Guy Haberman and Tim Ryan, who is the only saving grace. Ryan, although I'm not too crazy about his homerisms at times, he's competent, he knows what he's talking about, and he's fairly accurate and sufficient. Guy Haberman is basically vanilla ice cream and Wonder Bread and Kilpatrick's fill in all you have various euphemisms. Just bumbling and frankly, just at best mediocre. But that's the least of the problems. The broadcast started out with Haberman and Ryan tossing it to Vern Glenn, the sideline reporter. Vern was great if you could hear him, but you could never hear him. And we never heard anything, at least when I was watching, from the opening pre-kickoff broadcast on the field when the field guy, Vern Glenn, is supposed to give us some kind of a pregame little nosh. Never happened. You couldn't hear him. Issue one. The microphones were bad. Then they had, just a few minutes later, you couldn't hear Haberman, which might have been an omen, and Tim Ryan. And then they quickly straightened it out. But throughout the broadcast, there were periodic shakes of the camera. There was dead air. There was no sound. And it went on and on. They finally figured it out late in the second half. But by then, nobody was pretty much watching. I think most people turned it off. And those people who had nothing to do and trying to kill a Saturday night by watching an NFL practice game understood that this was the absolute worst of the worst. That's why they call them practice games. But this, unfortunately, didn't deal with the performance of the football team, which was bad enough. Then I turned to radio. And boy, you talk about a colossal mess. I lamented about the asshole Bobby Fitzgerald. And of course, he did the radio broadcast, the play-by-play duties, along with former 49ers player and now current exec Keena Turner and Dennis Brown. Way too many voices in the broadcast booth. Fitzgerald, his normal weaselly way, an ass kisser supreme, just keeps talking and talking and talking, doesn't shut up. Fortunately, was muted down by Turner. And Dennis Brown, who likes to say the word football, says it every 2 seconds. The football game, the football, the football, the football. Dennis Brown, we know it's a football game. You keep saying the football game, the football. Brown could be a decent color analyst. He could give you accurate information and be quite effective. But he just doesn't shut up with the football field, the football. That's a flaw that could easily be eradicated if somebody were to tell Dennis Brown to quit saying the football field. We know it's a football game. Thank you. Most people didn't think it was a baseball diamond or a soccer field or a lacrosse field. Dennis, we know it's a football field. You could just say field, and you don't have to say NFL football, the football game. We know there is a game being played and that it involves football. It's just so annoying. But it didn't stop there. Fitzgerald is annoying. He doesn't shut up. And he pretends as if this is a real game, and it isn't. He kept saying, he must have said 20 times that the 49ers are going to play the Raiders next week and that they'd have a joint practice on Thursday. Said it, keep saying it, kept saying it, kept saying it. We know they're having a joint practice, Fitzy Fitz. Although Rudy didn't stop there. He just kept going on and on. I muted the sound almost immediately. After the radio broadcast, we had the illustrious Copes, Copidopes, some new person named, who is she? Some woman who was flat out ridiculous. And then professional geek stat guy Larry Krueger, who is just unlistenable. This is a stat geek who is cheap, who works cheap. That's why KNBR and Cumulus hired him. And this forever fill-in host who's god-awful, John Dickinson, with Kobe Copes, Adam Copeland, who talks like this all the time and tries to be very astute and, blah, 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 blah. Makes no sense, useless information, and it's just unprofessional. It sounds like it's a fifth league, D league at best. So I turned that off. I did not watch the Comcast reaction show because it is, after all, a practice game. Much better things to do. But this radio broadcast was awful. I would give it about a C- to a D. And then the post-game show was a complete failure. Utter F. If you can give an F-, I would. So, look, Papa, I never was a fan of his touchdown call, but overall, I thought he's a professional. I think he can handle things. He knows the sport. He works well, I guess, with Tim Ryan. But Papa is severely missed when you put the alternative on, which is boring, dreadful, D- leaguer, Guy Haberman, whoever the hell he is. It just wasn't first rate. The television broadcast, underlying broadcast, was also minor league and ridiculous and pathetic. But other than that, it was fine. I'm Rich Lieberman. We'll see you later.